Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of Talking Bullion. Well, today we're going to do something a little bit different. I put out a video recently, and it was about a couple coins I bought from Instagram. And as I always do, whenever I buy from Instagram, Facebook, LCS, eBay, Coin Show, any place, doesn't matter, online bullion dealers, I always check it with my Sigma Metalytics machine. So with this Instagram purchase, I picked up a 10th ounce Gold Eagle. Checked that. That came back fine. But when I checked this Libertad, this 2014 Libertad, it didn't come back fine. It's off a little bit on the Sigma Metalytics machine, and that bugs me a little bit. Now, I don't know that I've ever heard of a fake Libertad being out there. There probably is. There's fake everything out there, right? I always do the due diligence of checking everything that I buy. And so far, since I've had this machine, which has been a couple of years now, nothing's ever come back with any questionable results at all. Now you can clearly check YouTube and find out that the Sigma Metalytics machine is not totally accurate in all situations. And for those of you who may not know, I'm talking about this machine right here. Let me get it on the screen. Zoom out a little bit. So I'm talking about this machine right here. There's different versions of it. There's a pro version, which would probably help out a little bit more with this analysis. But for the most part, if you're not a coin dealer or somebody who's using this all the time, this version of it's usually fine. And this version of it will cost you near $1,000 nowadays. So you get the pro version, I think that's, $1,600, $1,700, $1,800 now. This is usually okay, but it's not perfect. And like I said, you can pretty easily do some searching and find out how once in a while this thing will measure things that it shouldn't. But overall, it's a good verification, and that's what I use it for. So what I did when I got this home is I put it on that machine. Get it centered here, and it didn't quite make it. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So let me pull this out of here, put this back on here. I'm going to start with turning it on. You have to calibrate it. We're going to move it over to silver. 99.9 pure. If we look at this coin, you'll see up here at the top it says 0.999. So that's why we want to use 99.9 and not 4 nines. You have to push run calibrate again. So let's go ahead and put it on here and see what happens. Down here, you can see it does not fall within the brackets it's supposed to be between. Let's flip it over. Nope, same thing. Now normally if it's a fake, it would be something way off the screen. Like let's put this, this is $50 on here. See how it's, way off. Usually there's an arrow on there that shows it. And like that. That's usually what you see if it's not real. It's basically saying, no, it's too far off the screen to even matter. So this implies it's close, but it really should be within the two brackets here. These two brackets right there. All right. So you can also use a wand. I shouldn't need to use a wand because if it's within this black circle, this should be good enough. But let's go ahead and plug in the wand. You can see it lights up over here. We have to hit run calibrate again. Now sometimes with these surfaces that are bumpy like this is, sometimes it's hard to get a flat reading. So generally though, if you can take your wand and put it right on a flat surface like right there, you can see down here, it doesn't seem to matter. It's coming up just outside of the brackets. Probably close enough, but very concerning. I have written to the guy I bought it off of on Instagram. He did offer for me to send it back and he would refund my money. So that is a possibility. Just not sure yet. Alright, so there we go. Sigma Metalytics is balking at it, saying, I'm not sure this is 99.9% silver. So what else can I do? There's several different things I can do to try to confirm this is real. And so the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to turn off my Sigma machine. First thing I want to do is I want to weigh it. So we should have about 31.1 grams for the weight. In fact, I have some dimensions here. Move this over a little bit. For the Libertad, should weigh 31.1 grams. Diameter should be 40 millimeters. Thickness should be 3 millimeters. And we are going to do a specific gravity on it, and that should be 10.49. Now, why that's important is because it's really hard to put lead or copper or some fake metal in here, steel, iron, and not have all these dimensions. So if they're going to put something that's not silver, it's really hard to be 40 millimeters and 3 millimeters and 31.1 grams. One of these is off when it's fake. And the Sigma Pro machine can actually know all this stuff about it. It does do a better job of analyzing these different dimensions and these different figures for the coin that you're analyzing. Alright, so let's take a look at these things. The weight should be 31.1 grams. Let me back out of here a little bit. Let's pull this off of here. Get my scale. It's a little smudgy here. Doesn't really matter, but it'd be nice if I got my fingerprints off it. Alright, let's turn the scale on. Let's make sure we're set to grams, which we are. There's a G down here. Let me see if I can get you to see it a little bit better. It's a little bit better. And I'm going to tear it again. Tearing it, just make sure it's back to equal. And let's weigh it. We get 31.15 grams. 16 grams. That's clearly within the tolerance of the manufacturing for it. So that's pretty good. 31.15, 16. Let's do it again. We'll go with 31.15. Alright, so let's write that down on our sheet of paper here. Weight equals 31.15. We're going to need that number when we do the specific gravity. Alright, so that's it with the scale for now. Let's get out our micrometer. And if we remember, this should be 40 millimeters in diameter and 3 millimeters thick. So let's take a look at that. So put the scale here, or the coin there. Let's zoom in a little bit. And let's turn on our micrometer. Let's zero it out. And make sure it's all the way up. Zero it. And let's see what it measures for the diameter. Let me pull it over here a little bit. And let's see what this comes out to. We can see here it's 40.07. I'd say well within tolerance, 40.07. Alright, so let's write that down over here. 40.07. So there's two confirmations that this is real. So far we've got the weight, we've got the diameter. Now we're going to measure the thickness. Let's put this on here. Let's go to thickness. It's kind of hard to get on. I don't want to scratch up the coin. I think you'd usually about right there. 2.993. I think you usually go on the end here. Let's go with 3.02. All right. So that again is another confirmation. So now we've got 3 different measurements that kind of confirm that it is what the Libertad should be. Okay. So another thing you can do, this is not very commonly talked about. I've talked about this before, people have asked me about it, is you can do what we call a tissue test. And a tissue test is a pretty raw way to do it, but it is a good way to do it, where you can put a tissue over something that should be silver and it should glow white. Now I don't know how my camera is going to catch it, but this catches very well outside of the camera. So I've got a clad Kennedy here, bicentennial one. We have 999 silver here, 3 nines. And what you do is you take a tissue and you lay it over the top of these two. And can you see how white this is? Let's put it like this. Can you see that? See how bright white that is? If it's not silver, it doesn't show up as being white. So this is another raw way that you can kind of test and check if you've got pure silver. You just see how that just bright white just blasts right through that tissue where the Kennedy doesn't. So that's another confirmation for me that this is silver. All right. Still don't know why the Sigma picked it up as being just out. But let's make a note over here and let's say, I'm just going to write it down real quick. Tissue test. Passed. All right. So we zoom back out a little bit, give ourselves a little bit of room here. We can say, move these up just a little bit. We can actually take this JFK off the screen. So far we have the weight. We wrote it at the bottom, but let's write it here, is good. The diameter is good. Thickness is good. And the tissue test is good. So one bad result over here, Sigma, not good. But we have 4 others so far that are saying it's silver. All right, well, the final thing I want to do to test it is I want to see if it passes the specific gravity. And specific gravity is a way that you can determine if something's real or not. And there's multiple specific gravities for whether it would be 999 silver, sterling silver, which is 92.5%, 90% silver. There's specific gravity numbers for gold. It's a great way to analyze what you have. All right, so how are we going to do this? So specific gravity, we've got on here, should be 10.9. And I'm going to put my numbers over here for now. So what do we do with specific gravity? The first thing you do is you weigh your coin, which we've already done. We've weighed it at 31.15 grams, which is good. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to dip it into a cup of water and get that number and see how that works. So we have a cup of water here and we're going to use a string. Now I've got a piece of dental. This is the hardest part of the whole project. First of all, my dental floss came in a little roll, so it's really, really curly. And you have to get this string. Let me zoom out here a little bit. You have to get this string wrapped around your coin so you can hang it into the water. All right? And I've already done this. So what you have to do is you have to create yourself a little loop. You have to put it around your coin. And you just have to get it so that it'll dangle into the water. All right? Doesn't matter, how it's across the coin. We just have to get it so we can dangle it. All right, so the first thing we're going to do, though, is we're going to tear the scale out with the water. We're still in grams. I'm going to probably have to push it up a little bit. I don't know how this is going to go. Maybe if I do this, it's a little bit better. We're going to put our water on here. We're going to tear it out. Okay. Move it like that. Let me tear it again. So now the water and the cup are all set back to 0 on the scale. I'm going to put it in the middle of the scale. You can't see it, but I can. Okay, that's the middle. Let's tear it again. What we're going to do is we're going to take this Libertad. We're going to put it into the water, and we're not going to let it touch the sides of the bottom. We're going to suspend it in the water, and we're going to see how much it weighs. All right. So here we go. Going to bring it down. Right there, it is suspended in the water. It's coming back at 2.9697. You can see here, if we touch the bottom, see how it goes up? No, we don't want to do that. We want to suspend it without touching anything. So we got 2.96. All right. So I'm going to dry the coin off here. Just took it out of the water. Let's go ahead and move this off our screen. We no longer need the water or the scale anymore. All we got to do now is some math. So let's bring this back on. So our weight in the water was 2.96. All right. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go over to my calculator, and we're going to calculate the specific gravity by dividing the weight of the coin by the weight of the coin when it's suspended in water. All right, so let's go over there, and the weight is 31.15, and we're going to divide it by the 2.96, which is what we got when it was in water. And it comes out to 10.52. And if you remember, if we go back to our sheet of paper, specific gravity of silver is 10.49. So 10.52 is clearly within spec. And this is a really good test. Specific gravity should tell you whether or not something's fake. So our specific gravity results, SGR, equals 10.52. All right. So I don't know, folks. I don't know what to say. I don't know why the Sigma Metalytics machine is showing this as not being silver or being out of spec. I think that maybe it's saying it's not all 99.9, maybe 99.6, 99.4. I'm not really sure what just outside of the brackets means. But we can see here, every other test I've put it through, which has been the weight, the diameter, the thickness, the tissue test, and the specific gravity. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 additional test results that show that it's silver. But we've got one, which is again the Sigma Metalytics machine, saying that it's not, or that it's not 99.9. So if I put it on the lower amounts, like if I take the machine and put it on sterling silver, it passes that. 90% it passes that because it has at least that amount of silver in there. So the conclusion I've come to is my 2014, this is the only one I have, is indeed a real Libertad, even though the Sigma Metalytics says that it's not. So what's your thoughts? Would you draw the same conclusion that I did? Would you conclude with 5 other tests saying yes and the Sigma saying no? Would you conclude that this Libertad is real? Or would you send it back, pay the money to ship it to get your refund? I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to call it real, call it that those other 5 tests passed. I don't really have any good LCSs around me. I'd like to find one of those LCSs like Stormy's guy in New Jersey, Steve. He has one of those machines you can put it into Or one of those guns, right? There's guns that you can put on it and push on it, and it'll tell you exactly the content of everything. I wish I had an LCS I could take it into that had something more sophisticated to test it. You know, it's a $35 coin. I don't know if it's worth the hassle to go through all that. But it would be nice to see what the actual technology measures it out to be. But that's a good little lesson on other tests you can do to validate and verify that the precious metals you're getting are real. And I think it's important that you test every single coin, every single thing you get, bullion. I think it's really important that you test it and make sure that it passes the test. Not sure why Sigma didn't pass this one, but it didn't. That's it for now. Thank you for watching, and always remember, let's keep talking bullion.